After the recent death of a 23-year-old gang rape victim, protesters have been calling for the death penalty for rapists and increased safety laws for women. But some people began to wonder if there were any cases where rape victims took the law into their own hands. It turns out that there are quite a few cases. In this video you have a list of 10 of them. Number 10. Jackie Clark. On February 16, 2005, Jackie Clark invited a man to her home, where she proceeded to give him drug-laced coffee and had her 19-year-old son tie him up so she could proceed to hit the man in the legs with a baseball bat, all the while screaming that she was doing so because he raped her. She then told him she was going to tattoo the word rapist on his penis. And when I assume he expressed negativity towards this idea, she did it anyway with a pin and a bottle of ink as they in prison do. Clark was later prosecuted and denied having any recollection of tattooing the man's penis, but she later said, "If I did it, I did it." Whatever that means. Number 9. Sonnet Ellers. While not a direct victim herself, Sonnet Ellers invented the rape axe after working with rape victims at the South African Blood Transfusion Service. Rapists beware. This thing will mess your junk up. The device is worn by the woman like a female condom, and upon unwanted insertion of a penis, jagged rows of teeth-like hooks line its inside and attach on a man's penis during penetration. It hurts. He cannot pee and walk when it's on. If he tries to remove it, it will clasp even tighter. However, it doesn't break the skin. And there's no danger of fluid exposure. Not only is this excruciatingly painful, the device can only then be removed surgically. So not only are the rapist's genitals effectively mutilated, but everyone at the hospital will know exactly what he did. The device has been so heavily criticized that it was never even sold or marketed to the public. So, while there was no actual revenge inflicted here, per se, I thought it deserved a mention as the device was intended to send a very clear message. I find it sick that there was a need for it to be invented in the first place. Number 8. Chiamara. Chiamara, 2nd century BC, was a Galatian noblewoman and the wife of Orgegon, chieftain of the Tectosagi, one of 3 Galatian tribes during the Galatian War with Rome of 189 BC. After her people suffered a defeat, a Roman centurion was put in charge of her. He made several sexual advances towards her, and when she rejected him, he raped her. He then offered, to assuage his shame, to ransom her back to her people, sending one of her slaves, also a captive, with the message. When her men came for her, she ordered that they cut off the centurion's head. She then carried the head home with her to show her husband and to tell him, "Only one man who has lain with me shall remain alive." Number 7. Lorena Bobbitt. If you haven't heard the name Lorena Bobbitt, then chances are you've at least heard her story. John Wayne Bobbitt and Lorena Bobbitt were an American couple married on June 18, 1989, whose relationship made worldwide headlines in 1993. On June 23, 1993, Lorena's husband John came home drunk one night and proceeded to rape her. After he then went to sleep, she got out of bed and went to the kitchen for a drink of water. She then grabbed an 8-inch carving knife on the kitchen counter, returned to their bedroom, pulled back the bedsheets and cut off his penis. After this, Lorena left the apartment with the severed appendage and drove away in her car. After a while driving and struggling to steer with one hand, she threw it out the window into a roadside field. She eventually stopped and called 911, telling them what had happened and where the penis could be found. Don't worry. Police found it later, and John had it surgically reattached. Lorena was put to trial but acquitted of all charges due to temporary insanity. In 1995, after 6 years of marriage, John and Lorena divorced. Number 6. The Trung sisters. Trung Trac and Trung Nai were daughters of a powerful Vietnamese lord who lived at the beginning of the 1st century. At that time, Vietnamese women still retained many rights, even though their country was occupied by the Chinese Han dynasty, which didn't have such strong beliefs in women's rights. When a Chinese commander raped Trung Trac and killed her husband, they looked for revenge. The sisters were not having any of that. They organized a full-scale rebellion of 80,000 men and women. 36 of their army's generals were women, including the Trung sisters' mother. Various accounts of their subsequent battles with the Chinese exist. Trung Trac was pregnant at that time. Apparently said, "Oh, fudge it. I got this shit," and proceeded to have her baby on the battlefield. She hoisted the newborn child onto her back and continued fighting. No big deal. The Trung sisters were ultimately defeated, and many warriors either committed suicide to protect their honor or died in battle.